Well, a very good morning to you from wherever you're watching us from. This is Kirk in the morning with me, Dennis Munene. And of course, as always, like I told you last Wednesday, I'm sitting in for Vincent Kerosi. It's just now it's just 6 minutes past 8 a.m. in the morning. It's on a Wednesday on the 28th of September. It's just a day after President William Ruto names his cabinet that he named yesterday, 21 sitting cabinet, starting from the Ministries of Education, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Roads, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Irrigation, a lot of ministries in the parliament, in the government. Already William Ruto has already given names to those ministries just to help what is happening. But we start with first things first. We will be going now to check into traffic and what is happening in our roads in a few. Alright, welcome back, dear viewer, from wherever you're watching us. This is Kirk in the morning with me, Dennis Munene. You can always make a conversation with us via our social media handles. That is Kirk TV Kenya and @Munene Official on Twitter. Use the hashtag Kirk in the morning. Now for the traffic updates, let's see what our roads have got to say. Now the Nairobi Expressway seems absolutely clear all the way from from Westlands running all the way to Mlolongo. That place seems to be a bit clear. Well, Mombasa Road is also very clean, smooth and running all along from Nairobi CBD all along to Mombasa Road as it flows downwards. Well, we have some problem at Kiganjo Avenue as you connect to Mombasa Road. Seems there's a bit of a snarl up right there, but still the road seems to be clearing up. It's just a snarl up that is not that tight. Well, as you enter Kenya Mass Communication using the Melili Road around that place, the road also seems to be clear. But on your entrance to CBD using the Mombasa Road, the traffic seems to be a bit congested. So kindly, if you have any other route that you can use about that route, just make sure maybe you use it as an alternative. Now around Langata roundabout there, right there at Bunyala roundabout, the roundabout seems to be a bit congested. While connecting to Lusaka Road, the roads there seems to be a bit congested. It's actually right there at the roundabout as you head to Langata, and also the other road as you the Lusaka Road as you head to go and connect with the Jogoo Road. Well, trying to connect around while you're entering CBD, I can see that the roads are opening up around Haile Selassie Junction. Right about there is a bit clear, but on your way from CBD to connect to Haile Selassie around Neno Evangelism Center, the road seems to be a bit congested, but all along from Neno Evangelism Center going all the way to CBD, the roads seems to be a bit clear. Well, in the entrances of CBD nowadays seems things are a bit working out. There isn't much traffic, but of course there are some traffic. There's some snarl-ups here and there, of course, like Ronald Ngala for some time now has been having snarl-ups early in the morning. Right now we can see that Ronald Ngala is very much congested right now. Using the Tomboya Street is also congested, so kindly, if you're going to use those streets, or rather those connectors that connect you to the CBD, kindly make sure that you think about something else. Well, let's move to the Globe Roundabout. The Globe Roundabout, as you connect from Kijabe Street and John Mishuki Memorial Park, the connectors right there, the roads connecting to the Globe Roundabout seems to be a bit clear. But around, just around Muranga Road Primary School, around that place seems to be a bit congested. That is for the people who are using Thika Road, joining to Muranga Road at the Globe Roundabout. Right about that point, there is a bit of a snarl up and a really big one. Well, let's look at what is happening at the famous Thika Road. The famous Thika Road are right there at around Muthaiga Square. The place seems to be a bit congested. it seems to be a bit congested. But as you use the route from the CBD heading towards Thika and Juja, all those places, the road seems to be clear. But once you're entering the Nairobi CBD, the roads are relatively congested. Around Mathari Mental Hospital, that place is also very, very much congested. So that is what happening in our roads today. What I want to tell you is that kindly, if you're on the roads, make sure that you consider the safety of who is next to you. Now that's up to that. That's all about the traffic updates we had for now. Now let's move on of what we'll be having after this. Well, welcome back to say what is happening today in the Kirk in the morning with me, Dennis Munene, and of course now it's time for the newspaper review. And let's see what is happening in our newspapers. What stories have hit the headlines. Now we're going to kick off with the Standard newspaper, whereby it highlights what has been happening, or rather what happened last night, or rather last evening, when we had the president, the President William Ruto. Actually, the Standard newspaper gives it a very huge headline: the Hustler Cabinet. This is a cabinet that has been formed by His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto, with Musalia Mudavadi given the position of a prime cabinet minister, or rather the prime cabinet secretary, and he will be in charge of all other cabinet ministers, or rather cabinet secretaries. Then that means yesterday we had President William Ruto say that after him and Rigathi Gachagua, probably Musalia Mudavadi has a very prime seat, and that is a position that he will be holding. Remember, that's a position he was promised during the campaigns and during the alignment to Kenya Kwanza. We have, let me just give you a snap out of what of the cabinet secretaries who are given various ministries yesterday. Well, you're going to start with the Ministry of Interior. We have Professor Kithure Kindiki. And the Ministry of Treasury and Planning, we have Professor Njuguna Ndung'u. And the Ministry for Foreign Affairs was given to Alfred Mutua. And then the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Industry was given to Moses Kuria. The Ministry of East African Community was given to Madam Rebecca Miano. And of course, the Ministry for Roads and Transport given to Kipchumba Murkomen. Remember that Kipchumba Murkomen is also a senator for the Elgeyo Marakwet. The Ministry for Environment, Forestry, we have Roslinda Soipan Tuya. And also we have the Ministry for Lands and Housing was given to Zakaria Mwangi Njeru. The Ministry for Tourism and Wildlife given to Penina Malonza. The Ministry for Agriculture and Livestock goes to Mithika Linturi. The Ministry for Health was given to Susan Wafula Nakhumicha. This is a position that was actually on a high note to see who will be given the docket. The docket for ICT and a digital economy was given to Eliud Owalo. And then the Ministry of Education, another position that was on a very, very, very high note, was given to Ezekiel Machogu. Then we have the Ministry for Energy and Petroleum given to one and only Davis Chirchir. And of course, when you go to the Ministry of Sports, was given to Ababu Namwamba. The Ministry for Cooperatives and SMEs was given to Simon Chelugai. The Ministry for Mining given to Salim Mvuria. Labor given to Florence Bor. But now, of course, there are two positions that President William Ruto gave out. Was the position for the advisors. We have Monica Juma and Harriet Chigai. Well, that's the list of the cabinet secretaries, or rather the cabinet holders that was given yesterday by President William Ruto. Oh, I had forgotten, we have the Ministry for Public Service given to Aisha Juma. We also have the Ministry for Defense given to Aden Duale. And then the Ministry for Water and Sanitation given to one and only Alice Wahome. Well, that's the Hustler Cabinet. We'll just be keeping now and waiting and see what will be happening to the cabinet. Without now further much ado, now let's cross over to the Daily Nation and see what it has to offer to us. We have now in the front page of the Daily Nation, we have the winners and losers in Ruto's first cabinet. It's actually something to note that in the Daily Nation, they say that Among the cabinet secretaries that were there in the former Uhuru Kenyatta's government, is that none of them has been retained. Of course, we have a lot of who are in the government, who are in the hustlers' heart, but they didn't actually manage to get, or rather manage to have to get the position, or maybe to get the positions of the cabinet secretaries. Well, let's move on to the second page of the Daily Nation, whereby we have the president himself, President William Ruto, yesterday highlighted functions of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And I'm going to read to you some of the functions of the Deputy President according to the President himself, President William Ruto. And he said that Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will, of course, deputize for the President in execution of the President's function. He'll also chair cabinet committees. He'll also oversee implementation of cabinet decisions across all ministries and state departments. He'll also coordinate intergovernmental relations between the national and county governments, including chairing the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, IBEC. He'll also liaise with the constitutional commissions and independent offices in the matters that require intervention by the national government, including budgets, policy formulation, and implementation of their recommendations. Well, there's also another function there highlighted by President William Ruto. It's to coordinate the planning and supervise the implementation of development partners, funded programs and projects. And of course, finally, we have overseeing public sector reforms and also perform any other function as may be assigned by the President. Those are the responsibilities of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, according to the President himself, President William Ruto. Now, let's see. Now, this is a position that also has always been bringing issues. The position of Prime Cabinet Secretary. It's a position that is not in the Constitution. But of course, we have seen that President William Ruto has given that position to Musalia Mudavadi. Let's see, what are the functions, or rather, what will be the functions of Musalia Mudavadi as the Prime Cabinet Secretary? Number one is he'll assist the President and the Deputy President in the coordination and supervision of government ministries and also state departments. Well, secondly, he'll liaison with the Ministry of Interior and National Administration, oversee the implementation of national government policies, programs, and projects. He'll also chair and coordinate national government legislative agenda across all ministries and state departments in consultation with and for transmission to the party coalition leaders in Parliament. He'll also facilitate interministerial coordination of cross-functional initiatives and programs. Well, Musalia Mudavadi will also be responsible for coordinating and supervise the technical monitoring and evaluation of government policies, programs, and also projects across ministries. Finally, Musalia Mudavadi will also perform any other function as may be assigned by the President. I do not know what are your views about the position of Musalia Mudavadi being given that position of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. But of course, we will be knowing, or rather we'll be seeing what will be happening. We'll be rather be seeing what Musalia Mudavadi will be having for the state as Prime Cabinet Secretary. Well, in the Standard newspaper, we have seen on the side of politics, we have sports, and also we have things to do with the pharmacist, or rather the medical and health sector, whereby we have Jocelyn in London races injury rules out Bridget. Remember Kipchoge Keino? Kipchoge was he broke his record actually rather last weekend when he broke his record of the marathon that is in Germany. We have pharmacists who want now to be involved in doping fight that is in the sports sector, whereby they say now that is they are fighting the doping effect that has been taking course in the sporting sector. That's all for the news update from our newspapers, and that's all we had today. For the newspapers, or rather the newspaper updates, rather now we'll be having a candid conversation with Chris Sambo later on to talk about what is the outcome of Ruto's cabinet, or rather what should we expect from Ruto's cabinet, with Chris Sambo in a few. Well, welcome back so much, viewer, for keeping here Kirk TV, or rather Kirk in the morning. This is Dennis Munene, and of course this is Kirk in the morning. Well, after this we'll be having, rather in a very short while, we'll be having Chris Sambo, who will be trying to look at what to expect with the cabinet secretaries given by Ruto, or rather President Ruto, in his leadership. Well, we take a very short quick commercial break. We'll be back after a short while.
We welcome your feedback on our programming. For questions or comments, kindly get in touch with us via email info@kirktv.org, SMS 0111 220044, or call us on 0794 588 054.
What happens when we are blessed? What happens when the Lord comes to expand? When the Lord comes to increase? Do we find ourselves calling people, telling them, you know, I am blessed? I have a new car. Do you go calling people? Why is it so difficult to talk about your blessings? What shall I render to the Lord for all his goodness to me?
Are you looking to grow your business? Kirk TV offers you a variety of advertising opportunities to suit your budget. Advertise with us today and reach your potential customers countrywide. For more information, email us on sales@kirktv.org or call 011 00 90647.
The application of the law does not select the rich or the poor.
People are supposed to take responsibility for their lives, but society has always looked frowned upon it.
Here we educate you on the laws of the land.
Adoption does not have so many hurdles and so many laws, and it's not difficult.
Matters related to administration of justice.
It's very difficult for you to inherit from an estate of a deceased if you're not a child or a bona fide wife.
Cover crime related topics.
Issues of torture are criminal issues that the government will take very stern action.
And many, many more.
Leave your worries with the lawyer. Let them go through, let them worry about how you will answer your questions. Let them worry about what you will say in court. They will guide you.
Sometimes the law is very difficult, but you have judges now to interpret the law.
Don't miss Know Your Laws Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. only on Kirk TV.
Wakenya ni wapenda kazi na kila siku wapo mbioni kuchapa kazi. Kipindi cha Kazi na Mali ni rafiki, swahiba na kipenzi cha wachapakazi wote. Si jua kali tu. Kilimo shambani.
Kusema kweli, nguruwe ni wazuri.
Madini ya protein kwa huyu snail iko juu sana.
Biashara sokoni. Wajasiriamali wa aina zote, sanaa, wasanii. Guess what? It is business. Tunatembea nawe kila hatua ya uvumbuzi na ubunifu wako ili kujikimu na kukimu uchumi wa taifa. Kazi na Mali, sisi ndisi, Kirk TV, hapa ndipo.
Choose life that you may love the Lord your God.
If you delight yourself in the Lord, He will make you fruitful in whatever season you are in.
Listen to His voice and hold fast to Him.
That as disciples ourselves, we're being invited to be transformed more fully every single day.
In our walk with God, let us know that we are assured victory in every battle.
For the Lord is your life.
Live a pure life. Are you living a righteous life before the Lord? It is possible. People are wondering, can you do without corruption? Yes, I can stand and say it is possible to do without corruption.
Don't miss season 2 of the evening epilogue every day at 9:30 p.m. only on Kirk TV. Jesus said, "Call unto me and I will answer."
How can you just leave a job and it's from that job that we were getting food and our daily bread, and then you tell us that God spoke to you?
Consider your ways.
Whenever Jesus was not received, he moved on.
Follow me.
Brothers and sisters, in following Christ, we lose. You may lose relationships.
It's an individual calling. Somebody who is committed to the one they are following.
But what is the cost of following Christ?
Following Jesus is not always after other ambitions.
Let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God.
Call unto me every Wednesday at 8 p.m. only on Kirk TV.
The chastity of marriage is under attack. The biblical marital vows, until death shall separate us, has seemingly changed until your money lasts, until your beauty lasts. Unfaithfulness in marriage is on the increase. Mipango ya kando, violence in marriage is on the increase, many times leading to separation, divorce, and sometimes unfortunate loss of life, and also the devastating impact on our children. However, God's mind on marriage has not changed, my brothers and sisters and my friends watching. The Bible says, the Lord says, I hate divorce and the putting asunder of one's vows. Malachi chapter 2 verses 15. Surely, when the foundations are destroyed, what will the righteous do?
We welcome your feedback on our programming. For questions or comments, kindly get in touch with us via email info@kirktv.org, SMS 0111 220044, or call us on 0794 588 054.
What happens when we are blessed? What happens when the Lord comes to expand? When the Lord comes to increase? Do we find ourselves calling people, telling them, you know, I am blessed, I have a new car? Do you go calling people? Why is it so difficult to talk about your blessings? What shall I render to the Lord for all his goodness to me?
Are you looking to grow your business? Kirk TV offers you a variety of advertising opportunities to suit your budget. Advertise with us today and reach your potential customers countrywide. For more information, email us on sales@kirktv.org or call 011 00 90 647.
The application of the law does not select the rich or the poor.
People are supposed to take responsibility for their lives, but society has always looked frowned upon it.
Here we educate you on the laws of the land.
Adoption does not have so many hurdles and so many laws, and it's not difficult.
Matters related to administration of justice.
It's very difficult for you to inherit from an estate of a deceased if you're not a child or a bona fide wife.
Cover crime related topics.
Issues of torture are criminal issues that the government will take very stern action.
And many, many more.
Leave your worries with the lawyer. Let them go through, let them worry about how you will answer your questions. Let them worry about what you will say in court. They will guide you.
Sometimes the law is very difficult, but you have judges now to interpret the law.
Don't miss Know Your Laws Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. only on Kirk TV.
Wakenya ni wapenda kazi na kila siku wapo mbioni kuchapa kazi. Kipindi cha Kazi na Mali ni rafiki, swahiba na kipenzi cha wachapakazi wote. Si jua kali tu. Kilimo shambani.
Kusema kweli nguruwe ni wazuri.
Madini ya protein kwa huyu snail iko juu sana.
Biashara sokoni. Wajasiriamali wa aina zote, sanaa, wasanii. Guess what? It is business. Tunatembea nawe kila hatua ya uvumbuzi na ubunifu wako ili kujikimu na kukimu uchumi wa taifa. Kazi na Mali, sisi ndisi, Kirk TV, hapa ndipo.
Choose life that you may love the Lord your God.
If you delight yourself in the Lord, He will make you fruitful in whatever season you are in.
Listen to His voice and hold fast to Him.
That as disciples ourselves, we're being invited to be transformed more fully every single day.
In our walk with God, let us know that we are assured victory in every battle.
For the Lord is your life.
Live a pure life. Are you living a righteous life before the Lord? It is possible. People are wondering, can you do without corruption? Yes, I can stand and say it is possible to do without corruption.
Don't miss season 2 of the evening epilogue every day at 9:30 p.m. only on Kirk TV. Jesus said, "Call unto me and I will answer."
How can you just leave a job and it's from that job that we were getting food and our daily bread, and then you tell us that God spoke to you?
Consider your ways.
Whenever Jesus was not received, He moved on.
Follow me.
Brothers and sisters, in following Christ, we lose. You may lose relationships.
It's an individual calling. Somebody who is committed to the one they are following.
But what is the cost of following Christ?
Following Jesus is not always after other ambitions.
Let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God.
Call unto me every Wednesday at 8 p.m. only on Kirk TV.
All right, a very good morning and welcome back again to Kirk in the Morning as we continue with our today's broadcast as we talk about the unveiling of the cabinet by President William Ruto. Many familiar faces, but as well new faces. So what do we expect of the cabinet? What does the cabinet entail? Is it a fair cabinet, so to say, for the Kenyan people? Does it represent each and every Kenyan? Did President William Ruto meet his pledges to making his cabinet? That is our discussion this morning as we seek to make answers of that particular cabinet. Significant cabinets, ministers appointed in different ministries. We'll be talking about in a short while because my guest in studio, I have Kevin Watia, is a political analyst. Welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you so much.
And Felix Wesonga is also a political analyst who will be delving on the issue of the cabinet appointment by President William Ruto. And my name is Chris Ambo, so welcome wherever you are watching us from. Remember, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Kirk TV Kenya, so you can be part of this discussion and send in your feedback so we can get in touch as we continue with our discussion. As I talked earlier on, so many faces that we saw in the unveiling of the cabinet yesterday, many familiar faces, but some are new. we're talking about the combination of technocrats and politicians in the cabinet. I think what Wesonga, you were here when we were talking prior to that. And today, now we're talking about a 21-member cabinet, say 22 because there is that prime cabinet secretary position as well created. Just to start with you, Watsiaya, looking at that particular cabinet, what do you make of the appointments by President William Ruto?
I think the cabinet, to me, from the facade, if someone looks at it from outside, it is a good balance of technocrats and politicians, because during the campaigns, President Ruto promised Kenyans that he will allow his cabinet to be in parliament to answer questions from MPs, to be accountable to the manifesto, that the plan that they promised Kenyans. So I think that is one of the reasons as to why he had to include the politicians. And also from a technical point of view, we are seeing faces like Elubewalo, Nahumicha, though she's been in politics for I think for a short time when she was vying in Trans Nzoia, but if you look at the background, she's more of a technocrat than a politician. So I think it is a good mix of both politicians, especially when answering questions in parliament, because for you to navigate in the murky waters of politics, especially with our parliament, you must also have a know-how of how to go about political questions. So I think he has done well. But if you look at issues to do with the youth and persons living disability, I think he hasn't done quite well there.
Yes. So I would say the people with disability and the young people are the losers of the cabinet.
They are.
Definitely.
Definitely they are.
Right, Wesonga, if he's talked about a combination of technocrats and politicians in Ruto's cabinet, you look at those names, you look at the responsibilities of those appointments, and you also see familiar political faces. What do you make of Ruto's choices?
Thank you, Chris, for having me on this show once more. Actually, last time I was on this show, I foresaw this, and I remember telling the analysts who are on the panel that expecting otherwise is expecting too much. And you know, politics, just like any other entity, is an avenue of distributing resources and status. And you realize that to lead a good organization or institution, you have to work with people who are your confidants. You know, power, authority, and resources are distributed and governed in confidence. So it was just obvious that the president would go for people who are his confidants, people who believe in his ideologies, people who believe in his manifesto. You realize that the president has also met some of his promises. Of course, he has not met all, but from my objective point of view, you realize that this is the most well-balanced cabinet we've seen in recent years. He has picked people from around the country. We have seen people from Western Kenya, we have seen from Central, we have seen from Rift Valley, everywhere, including Northeastern, including the coast. The president has even gone ahead to leave outside the cabinet some of his close confidants, like we have seen Cleophas Malala is not in the cabinet, we have seen Johnson Mudhama, we have seen people conspicuously missing like Nanok. But you realize that the president knows that in order to achieve, he will have to work with not only politicians, but also technocrats in this particular event and the murky waters of politics, as my colleague Wasia has just put it. But when you come to the youth, I think we have gotten absolutely nothing. You know, there is a big difference between being a youth and being youthful. And you realize, I actually congratulate Ababu Namwamba. It's good that he has been appointed, he has been hardworking, he has been part of this journey. But it's also good to appreciate and to be objective and say that he's youthful, but he's not a youth. I also want to point out to the president that it's quite unfortunate that I had hoped that he'll separate the Ministry of Sports and Youth, because absolutely there is nothing relatable between youth and sports. And also, if you see the age bracket of youth, the capping limit is 35 years, but you realize that there is absolutely nothing in semblance between a 35-year-old and a 20-year-old. In fact, biologically, God forbid, a 35-year-old person can be a grandfather and he can father a 20-year-old person. So I'd request the president that when making the cabinet assistant secretaries, he highlights on the youthful bracket, particularly 30 years and below. We also want to be in the cabinet. We cannot wait to have experience when there are no jobs. Of course, we are vibrant, we are enthusiastic about it, and we hope that the president shall at least set aside like 3 cabinet slots for the youthful bracket, particularly 30 years and below. And personally, as a young man in that bracket, I'm very much available and ready to serve, particularly in the Ministry of Environment. I have great thoughts and things that I can implement in that ministry. Yeah.
And you've talked about, the youth being losers in this particular cabinet, but if you look at the appointment of Ruto, is more of exact faces that you expected, despite having the challenge of having to handpick from a very broader group of his allies. But if you look at the significant different ministries, look at Aisha Juma at Public Service, you also look at other ministries such as Energy, where Chirchir will be leading that particular ministry, and also come to the Education Ministry. If you look at all that, what do you make of Ruto's choices, despite the broader, group of people that he was to appoint?
Well, I will look at it from 2 points. One, political, then number 2, bottom up. It is political in the sense that, especially for Aisha Jumwa, this is a woman who has stood with the with the president since when he was deputy president. I think she was among the first people who defied ODM and started supporting Jubilee. Then later on, it metamorphosized into UDA. And from there, she's been so close to president. And then you look at in 2027, President Ruto is done with 2022 and is looking forward the next 10 years in the office. So he's looking at people who are going to fight for him in the regions that were formerly perceived to be his opponents' strongholds. So this he's bringing in the likes of Aisha Jumwa, who is a very no-nonsense politician. When she has a microphone, she doesn't spare anyone. So those are the people we'd want to have, especially towards the end of your first tenure, around 2027. That's when now you'll see these people now going back to their former selves of being politicians. Though the president told us that none of the appointees are going to be used as politicians, but we know this is Kenya, and
politics is life.
Politics is life. Then you look at bottom-up agenda. If you look at the life of Aisha Jumwa, this is a woman who has come from bottom, because at one point she's been a house girl. She got pregnant, went home, went back to school. She struggled all through until at some point the former prime minister used to call her Mekatelili Onensa because of the struggles she's been through. So when people are out there questioning where Mama Mboga is, I think Aisha Jumwa is the exact Mama Mboga that we should be looking at, because she's been through all these things. I don't think if there is any other person in that cabinet that you can compare to with Aisha Jumwa. She struggled through. You look at now Chirchir. Chirchir is coming in with experience, because he was there before in the previous cabinet from 2013. And he's coming in with the experience. He's also coming in also to balance the equation of Rift Valley, because there is no way the president will have chosen people from outside and forget his own backyard, because that is one of the things that made many people from Mount Kenya to start revolting against the president, Uhuru Kenyatta, because they felt like they're being alienated, they're being sidelined when it comes to projects, the national projects and also appointments in the government. So you look at these appointments and you realize, one, the president is keen on his bottom-up agenda and also a political side of his tenure in office.
Wasonga, the president talked about, I'll build a certain way where cabinet secretaries are able to answer in parliament. And if you look at what is happening in the parliament, is scrambled, and we can say is taking the majority on both sides. Yes, the majority members in both parliaments as it stands of now, before the stalemate at the National Assembly is unlocked by the Speaker. But if you look at his appointment of the cabinet, he's gone for same faces that have been in the parliament and who have been on inside. So if you look at the cabinet, it's a true picture of his allies and his coalition, as well as having the majority in the parliament. He talked about cabinet secretaries answering questions before the parliament. What do you make of that scenario where now he has his full cabinet, those are his allies, the National Assembly majority are his allies, same as the Senate?
Chris, firstly, I would like to make it clear that I'm also a supporter of this government. But that doesn't take away the fact that I can be objective and critical of its operations. I think it will not be an impediment that the same people who have been in the same camp with William Ruto are serving in the executive and others are serving in the cabinet. They can still be held to account. Remember, leadership and power comes with a lot of evil. We have seen even in the Bible, the kings, they have done a lot of evil. So if there is no measure to check them, definitely they'll do even worse. So it is expected that some of them will not perform as expected, but the president made it very clear. He said there shall be a review of the cabinet every 18 months, if I'm not wrong, and your sustenance in every docket that you are assigned shall be based on merit. So I think, and the people who will be putting these checks, and mostly you realize also that Kenya Kwanza is so diverse, you cannot consolidate the whole team and make them align to your needs, especially the ones that do not align with the agenda of the government. So I think they can still be put in check, and I believe, and I also hope that the opposition shall not sleep. And that's why the president, you can see, is very clear. He says we can work together, but not through the handshake. He doesn't believe in the handshake narrative. He believes that the opposition should do its work. Where the government runs short of ideas, or sometimes you cannot check yourself very well from inside, they can highlight, and if truly they agree to something that is progressive and can help this nation, that a cabinet minister shall be put on notice. It has happened before. People have been put on check even from within the government. So I don't expect that there shall be a lot of difficulty while overseeing and answering to the legislature. Also, as I said earlier, power is managed in confidence. So it was obvious that Ruto would take people from his camp, and of course he would not run short of expertise or other technocrats. And we cannot also just overlook and say that, oh, see, now they have picked politicians. Most of these guys are very qualified. You look at the guys like Murkomen. You look at this lady. I've seen this lady from Kengen, who has also been appointed in the cabinet. We have seen Nahumicha, fantastic woman. She has been in the corporate sector leading serious organizations. So you realize that the president has not just but picked. He picked from his side, but the very qualified ones. But of course, integrity is always an issue, particularly in Africa. And going forward, we expect to see, of course, unfortunately, there should be ills in the cabinet, but we know the legislature is there, and Ruto is an ambitious person who wants to be president again. He can only sustain that if he works and makes a good provision in this first 5 years of his in government. You also realize that if you have an opposition government which mostly does not set up its manifesto objectively and runs on your shortcomings, they would really be happy to see you blunder along the first 5 years. So I don't think Ruto will take that lying down. His cabinet will perform, and it will be checked very well by the legislature.
The entire cabinet is to help him, deliver in his mandate and what he promised Kenyans in regards, development and all that, and the devolution agenda. But if you look at what President Uhuru Kenyatta did in his cabinet for him to be able, to achieve part of the devolution was creating the devolution ministry. But if you look at the cabinet of President William Ruto, he's done away with that particular ministry of devolution. We also saw the former CS for the devolution, Eugene Amwala, also questioning why that particular ministry was left out, and he was told, stop crying, this is a new government, you need to move on and allow the new government to put itself in position. If you look at what Ruto did, getting away the devolution, is he taking the chances that we've matured, in understanding devolution, that we don't need this particular ministry, therefore these other ministries combined together can deliver as a devolution?
Really, I don't figure out very well the role of the devolution cabinet secretary, even the previous government. It was just there but to feel, to satisfy some political ego, because already you have Council of Governors, we have a Senate, we have
IBEC.
Yeah, IBEC. So I really don't think we need the devolution, cabinet. Having in mind that we have introduced the prime cabinet secretary, I think the president intends, and you realize that the president is more interested in the national government operations. And if you have a prime cabinet secretary, is literally a prime minister who will coordinate ministerial functions and oversee them. And you realize that the president wants to implement things that will run on a national scale, like agriculture, things like affordable housing. These are things that shall want a coordinated cabinet. And so I think the prime cabinet secretary is enough. The devolution one is not very necessary. And I think Eugene Wamalwa, to say the least, he should not wait to be told what to do. He should just be on his way.
Also, on the same point, I would like to share the same sentiments, because you ask yourself, what are the KPIs in this ministry? Because if you look at various ministries, the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Education, like all these ministries, you realize there are many things that someone will look at and say this cabinet secretary failed or made it. If you look at devolution, I'm asking myself, is there anything that CS Eugene Wamalwa achieved as CS devolution? Like, is there anything one can stand and say when Eugene Wamalwa was CS devolution, this is what he did? There is nothing. I think just the way Felix has said, it was just a docket to soothe people's ego, of which this government is not going to do that, because we are here to work. And I'm also a supporter of this government. I've been supporting it ever since. And I think that devolution ministry, I don't think it was necessary, because most of the things that the ministry was supposed to do are under the office of either the prime minister or deputy president, because deputy president is the one who will be chairing IBEC. We also have a council of governors, as you said, and you find the chairperson of the Council of Governors was elected on Kenya Kwanza ticket. So her accessing the president, her accessing prime minister and deputy president will be very easy. And prime minister is there, he'll be liaising with, he'll be a liaison officer between all these agencies, devolution and the National Assembly, devolution and the national government, National Assembly and the national government, the Senate and the executive. So I don't think having devolution ministry is really something that should waste our time talking about.
Should we say the devolution ministry has been substituted with the prime cabinet secretary?
Definitely, we can,
but we can't say that, because it will be watering down that ministry. Because if you try to give prime minister a ministry, it means that he's on the same level with the rest. But as is right now, he's not. He's according to president, he's the third most powerful person after deputy president. So we cannot try to say that his docket is a substitute of the devolution. So there are just some functions that he will be handling, and other functions Deputy President will be handling. Just like the Prime Minister will be handling interministerial duties. Ministerial duties means that, for instance, when there is a KCSE, definitely there will be an interlink between the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Security. So Prime Minister now comes in between, making sure that everything is running smoothly. When there is an issue that is affecting two ministries, it is the Prime Minister to ensure that the operations are smooth and everything is done as per the Constitution. And also, if you look at the Prime Minister's office, this is the person who is at the epicenter of how do you call it? Making the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto work. He's the person who is at the epicenter, because if you look at the duties that he was given yesterday, all are about implementing the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. Because if once you ensure that all the ministries are working, then definitely the plan will work.
Someone would also argue that the Prime Cabinet Secretary is just powerful by the virtue of being appointed by the President, but not that of the Constitution. How do you say about that, Wasonga?
Well, there have been some legal interpretations that, in our Constitution we do not have a Prime Minister. I don't know, we do not have an office. How will they be paid? Really, they might make legal sense for now, but politics remains politics. And you realize all these people are appointees of the President, and it's the President who chooses how he wants to work and how he wants to formulate his team. And he had made it very clear from his manifesto and his agenda during the campaigns. He voiced that he would have a Prime Cabinet Secretary. And we don't expect the government to have any difficulty to accommodate the authority that comes with it. I really think it is just a convenient way of excusing ourselves from the reality that really you have a Prime Minister in place. He's there. We have seen the same people who are disputing what is there say before that, Matiang'i now is the third in command. That, in fact, we are going far. We have seen them say that Raila Odinga now is traveling using the Air Force One. How Raila Odinga is more powerful in government than William Ruto? Of course he was. We know that. He has been benefiting from the coffers and everything of the state. So don't expect that Mudavadi will be any other person in the next 10 years. He'll be a very serious government official. And of course he's third in command, technically. And that is what is important in politics. So how they'll go around it with the Constitution and fit Mudavadi into government through the technical avenues, I really don't know that. But what I know from a political stand of view is that Mudavadi is the third in command. It's a fact.
And I don't think it is a big issue, because if you look at the number of cabinet secretaries that are allowed by the Constitution, there are 22. Meaning that Mudavadi is within 22.
It's actually the 22nd one.
Yeah, the 22nd one. Why not the first? Okay.
The other ones, the duties have been put out clearly in regards
because
to.
I don't think it's not going to be. It is not going to be a crisis in the Constitution, because one, he is within the 22. That is first of all.
Yes.
So if you're going to the court, you're just going to the court maybe for further interpretations, not for scrapping off, because it won't. And I don't think the Constitution clearly outlines the exact names of the ministries that are supposed to be there.
I think I'm told that we're also running out of time, so I want us to pick out the ministries. Minister of Interior, given to Kithure Kindiki. There's Minister of Energy, Chirchir, and Minister of Agriculture, another President like Kipchumba Murkomen, as well as also this other ministry. Let me just go from Moses Kuria. Is a Ministry of Trade.
Kipchumba is transport.
Transport, and then We have Eliud Owalo, ICT, and Simon Chelugui, cooperatives, as well as Salim Buria, put at the mining ministry, and which is another one? Zekaria Njeru is quite a new one in the Ministry of Land, Housing and Urban Development. But that aside, let's look at the powerful Ministry of Interior and that of Agriculture, because those are the two ministries, I think, and also the National Treasury. Those are three ministries that President was very tactical, because if at all he has to deliver, then those two ministries are very critical. What do you make of the choices in, I'm told that we have about 10 minutes or so for us to take a look at that. If you look at the three ministries, and you look at the people that have been placed with the mandate of delivering those ministries, what do you make, first of all, Wesonga, on the Ministry of Interior?
Professor Kithure Kindiki is a man with a wealth of experience in the legal sector, and also is somebody who has practiced within the confines of law and security for a long time. I don't think he'll run short of technical know-how and experience on how to run the Ministry of Interior, considering that also the Ministry of Interior shall be having permanent secretaries who will be helpful to him. So I think Professor Kithure Kindiki is very much in place to be the Ministry of Interior. I don't see any problem with it. These ministries you've mentioned, like agriculture, housing, you realize that every president has his blueprint aspirations. You realize, like Uhuru Kenyatta, his presidency was revolving around infrastructure and diplomacy. And for you to achieve what you want, because you cannot be a specialist in everything, for Deputy President William Ruto to have a legacy, he has to major on something. Particularly, I can speculate maybe agriculture and urban housing, something like that, if he wants to set a legacy. And to realize, in order to achieve in those ministries, you must have people who will execute things the way you want, the way your advisors and your strategists want. That's why you realize those particular ministries have his allies. It is not something to be surprised, because, of course, they must be run in confidence and in total loyalty. So where we shall see the technical input shall be from the the permanent secretaries, the PS. You realize that these are the people, they are actually the brainchild behind the ministries. That's why even if you go and try to look at this qualifications and the job description, you need like 10 years experience, 5 years in relevant to the ministry that you are applying to. So you realize they'll bring in very technical people in those ministries, and coordinated by loyalists and people who believe in the manifesto. I don't think there'll be a problem. Those ministries are very much okay. Apart from what people would want to perceive like it's a political game and maybe a convenience to maybe embezzle or do something, I don't think so.
What's here?
Yeah, I think before CS Matiang'i was appointed, nobody knew about him. And in every ministry that he went to, he made a remarkable contribution. So I think Kithure Kindiki is up to the task. He has a wealth of experience from being a Don, senator, and being chief, what do you call it? I remember during the counting of votes at the Bomas, he was a leader. Everybody would want to be, and even the opponents were envying him, the way he was telling his people to be silent and not to be provoked by, because during that time any Kenya Kwanza politician will be provoked by the opponents. There was too much propaganda, coming in and going out. So I think Kithure Kindiki is up to the task, and also he'll use his knowledge in law to ensure that the decisions that he's giving out are as per the constitution. You look at many curfews that were being given by the then CS Interior, curfews in Marsabit, where you don't just wake up and order a curfew. There must be a bill in Parliament. People have to talk about it for there to be curfews. But I think that is something that CS Interior was not really conversant with, but I don't think Kithure Kindiki is going to do anything outside the constitution. For agriculture, Central and the entire Mount Kenya is also a food basket, especially when it comes not just food but exporting the cash crops, tea. We have coffee, we have miraa. So I think the appointment of Linturi was strategic to ensure that he appeals to the people that he comes from. He gives them fertilizer. He ensures that there is tea being exported, even double what has been exported this year and the previous years, to ensure that coffee and miraa, because I remember the president, is it the former president, before he left, they had just signed an agreement with Somalia to export miraa to Somalia. So I think Linturi, he's there strategically, and I think among all the ministries, the Ministry of Agriculture and Treasury are one of the heaviest, especially for the plan to work, because the president has been talking about farmers, for Kenyans to have an affordable lifestyle. So I think Linturi will have to work. If there is someone in this government who might not sleep, is Linturi. And these are the people who maybe after 18 years, we might not see, in 18 months, we might not see them in cabinet if they don't work. Yes.
That cabinet reshuffle, I know, is what most opposition leaders are also looking at. Because I was looking at even their sentiments in regards to the appointments. They were dissenting in regards to the conduct and the ability of some of the appointees. But just quickly as we conclude, let's take a look at the Ministry of Education. Ezekiel Mashogu vied for Kisii gubernatorial seat but lost and stood firm with the President William Ruto, and now he's been placed in one of the biggest ministries in the country. Wetsonga, if you look at the entire discussion that has been around the education sector, the reforms and all that, and the bigger task that faces Ezekiel Mashogu, what would you make of his first day at the office in that particular ministry, as quickly as you conclude?
I think, to say the least, it might be overwhelming for Mashogu the first few months in office. But as I said earlier, a CS is more of a leader and a supervisor in a ministry. Do not be surprised when names like Wilson Sossion emerge as PS in the Ministry of Education. And of course, if we see such people taking technical roles in that ministry, don't be surprised that Mashogu will be a very efficient person. Most of the time, people like CEOs, they really don't work in a company, but they take the whole credit because of having a good technical staff that works with them. So I don't think we should really expect that Mashogu is going to fail, because everybody's expecting that Mashogu is going to fail. He might as well surprise us. Africa is a very interesting place. Most of these people who are hailed as great leaders and people in the corporate who are great, they are really not great. They are just implementing their statutory obligations of the office. They are doing nothing innovative or inventive. So if Mashogu goes to office and works as per the plan, works as per the policy, just that, implementing his statutory obligations, people will praise Mashogu. They say Mashogu is really working, but really Mashogu is just performing his duties. So I would advise somebody like Ezekiel Mashogu to really just work according to the plan. Just doing that will be enough. But also, politics is politics. Sometimes you realize there are very serious names which have been left out, the likes of Nanok, the likes of Mudama, Malala. So you realize that you might be there as a CS, but there is already a long-term plan. You have been told maybe you'll be a CS for 2 years, then a CS for 3 years. And realize that also appointing these people there, it is not just for representation, it is also a political investment, For somebody like the President William Ruto to be effective in Kisii in 2027, to be effective in Western Kenya, you'll realize that he'll have to uplift names like Malala, Mashogu. They'll have to be there so that when they go back to the ground, they are relevant. Of course, if you go to the people and tell them, now I've resigned as a CS, I've come here to vie as a governor, it will really appeal to the people. So don't be surprised that in the long run, you realize there might be reshuffles. You might get even people like Mudama or Malala by 2027 finishing in the cabinet as CS or CS. So don't be surprised. But on Mashogu's issue, I think he'll perform, and I know he's better advised. I'm informed he's an administrator before, and such people really are loyalists of the government. They work according to the plan of the government of the day. So don't be surprised. Mashogu might be in. And also from another angle, I've been trying to interact with people who have been calling me to get my perspective on the government's appointees. You realize that we have people like Magoha, Matiang'i, the two, according to me. They have people who have outstandingly done well, irrespective of the pettiness that has come in the last minute. But you realize that it might be also a long shot to bring in people like Matiang'i towards the end. Because don't be surprised, as I advised here last time, people like Matiang'i, it is healthy that they are at least retrenched from the cabinet for like 2-3 years to take away that perspective and that thought of, that you are deep state or something. You know, such people in the long run, they might undermine democracy with the deep state narrative. So it's better that they have a break and taken out of government, however good they are, and they are brought back. But the bottom line is that the president will want to work with a person who takes orders clearly and executes them the way they are. And you know, that's what the president likes, and that's what people like Machogu definitely. I am speculating that people like Machogu can do that, really. And I'll not be surprised if Machogu performs. Of course, before Matiang'i performed and even Magoha, not very many people expected them that they would deliver. But by just following the statutory obligations of the office, they delivered.
Looking at looking at what is talked about, that if Machogu performs as per the policy and the alignment that is put by the government in that particular ministry, then he will deliver accordingly. But if you look at what the president did, he had so many options in that particular ministry, but it turned out majority of his options were politicians, and then he went for the least politician in that particular ministry. You've seen the politics around the education reforms, the CBC and the return of 844, that particular direction, and then that the move to put out CBC to bring back 844 has been on the political side, politicians pushing for it. And then for him, he came out and said that I will appoint a committee that will review the CBC, but I'm not entirely of the opinion that we put it out. So we are going to involve all stakeholders and find a way that we are going to work along. If you look at that statement by President, shows that he is not on the side of doing away with the CBC, but in this case he appoints someone who is less of a politician but more of a technocrat in that particular ministry. And I was speaking to someone yesterday, and they talked about the disappointment in that particular ministry because of what the president did. But that is his choice. If you look at the two scenarios, was it the right choice for the president?
Right now, I don't think if there was any right choice. Because if you look at the ministry, I think the first test for Machogu will be CBC. Many parents are waiting. Many students who are in grade 6 right now, who are preparing to go in grade 7, are also waiting for the communique from that committee. And I think that is the first test for Machogu. And I think with the committee, with the advice from the committee, I think Machogu will maneuver well, because just the way Felix has said, cabinet secretaries do not work in isolation. In fact, they just tell us what other people have told them to say. So you find that most of the things that are being done in these ministries are being done by PSAs and other technocrats in the background. So Machogu, I'm not so sure why President Ruto settled on him, especially from now implementation of his education agenda, because there are many things he said. It's not just about CBC. He said a lot of things as far as education is concerned, about help, about all those things. But I think the first test for Machogu will be CBC, and it's not going to be an easy one, because whichever the decision is going to affect us for almost 20-30 years to come. So I think he needs time to maybe to talk to Matiang'i, to talk to Magoha, to talk to Kipkelion or who there was a PS, Belio. I think he has to sit down with them and just talk seriously about CBC, because if you look at CBC, the kids, because I've interacted with several kids who are doing CBC. I have a young sister who is really enjoying CBC, and many other kids enjoying. But now when it comes to parents, parents are reluctant about CBC because it is expensive, and also the children are being used as guinea pigs We don't know what will happen after they graduate. Will they really get jobs? That is the question parents are asking. So all those questions, the hopes, the aspirations of parents and kids are now on the shoulders of Machogu. So we are looking up to Machogu, and we are praying that he performs and he gives us a decision that is going to be good for all of us. Because as a young person, at no point will I ever pray that a government fails, because if it does, I will fail too. Then for political purposes, I think Machogu is the best person for President Ruto. If you look at how this guy was doing his politics in Kisii, he's the best big person in Kisii land. And for President Ruto, I think he's done and dusted. As far as not that he's completely done, like his mission in Kisii, I think he won't struggle a lot, making inroads in Kisii towards 2027, because this is a person who gave Simbarati a run of his money, and he made sure that the person who was third got 3,000 votes. Professor got 3,000 votes. So you find that Machogu, as far as Kisii politics is concerned, President Ruto has made the right choice.
We've talked about largely on the familiar names that have been put out by the president in his appointment, and the Minister of Education, of course, we expect to see what happens in that particular ministry, because it's a very big ministry, because I understand it will also be dissected into some 4 sub-ministries within the same ministry, because it's quite a big task for the minister in charge. But let's take a look at the other appointments by the president. We have like Rosalinda Soipan was given the Minister of Environment and Forestry, as well as Florence Bore was given Labor and Social Protection, and then you come to Zechariah Njeru was given the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, and then Rebecca Miano given the Ministry of EAC, Arid and Semi-Arid Areas, as well as Penina Malonza given the Ministry of Tourism. Those are some of the, would say, not bigger ministries, but tactical ministries, if at all the president has to deliver entirely in his mandate. But in those particular ministries, President William Ruto went for very new faces in the government leadership, very new faces. Some of them were not expected, especially if you look at Penina Malonza. She was the deputy governor of Kitui County, and now she's been tasked to lead the tourism ministry. Of course, many people would speculate that the tourism ministry would be given someone in the public image that be able to perform well in that ministry. But President seems to have had a different opinion with that of Kenyans. Look at those new names. Look at what the president has done, trying to balance, some experience and some young people in the ministry. Would say he talks about not being young, but acting like they are young, youthful. But if you look at them, I would say young in the leadership and governance is put them in those strategic ministries. What do you make of President's choice of the new faces?
Firstly, Chris, I would like to congratulate the Environment and Forestry CS, Rosalinda Soipan Tuya. I'm informed she was previously nominated as a senator to the Senate, and now she has been nominated as a CS to Environment, and I believe she's up to task. And my joy does not just end there. I am also happy because her leaving the Senate has given a friend of mine, Esio Kenyuri, a chance now to be nominated, because she was next in line. She was just on the cutoff, so she's definitely going to Senate, and I'm very happy because she's youthful, she's young, she has the energy, the vibrance, and she's also from a region where the president would like to get more support from Kisii, and that is great actually. And if you went critically and tried to look into the names the president has put on his cabinet list, the ones that seems to be new and maybe people would think they are greenhorns, I just took I didn't have enough time to go through them, but I particularly went to research on this CS for health. She was a very new face in the ministry. Susan Wafula Nahumicha from Trans Nzoia. And many people, you know, by virtue of her being young and being a new face, people are like, who's Susan? Why has she been rewarded? Are there other matrices that have been looked into? And I was like, okay, let me go and search Susan on maybe LinkedIn and check her profile. You realize Susan is somebody with a wealth of experience in this particular sector. She's a technocrat. She's somebody who has been in the field for a very long time. So the president, as I said, did not run short of technocrats to appoint into his cabinet. Definitely, if you go deep and check these people like Florence Bore, Malonza, they are very much well versed in leadership and in the governance sector. I believe they'll deliver, and I also believe there are people who are loyal to the president. But it's also good to bring in new faces and take away the expectation from the general public that it's only people within the political realms who will be taken into cabinet every time we appoint cabinet secretaries. People should be confident and apply. I've been encouraging young people to apply even for the PS positions. You never know. Particularly from my home county, Kakamega, you know, there have been calls, so we are not represented, but really, that's not the case. We still have a lot that you can serve in the government. You must not just be like a leader, you can't be a technocrat. So I believe the new faces that are in place are up to task, because from my just sample, you know, I'm a scientist, and the sample that I've picked, particularly on Susan Wafula Nahumicha, I'm convinced nobody has been picked out of merit. It is purely on meritocracy, and we expect to see good deliverance from the cabinet secretaries.
Yeah. But yeah, the new faces talked about, you know, going to check the background of these particular appointees and find that despite the public image of them being new faces, these are people that have been in that particular field. They've worked behind the scenes. They've, you know, delivered in their mandate in the differences, and now the president felt it was time. I now task them with a mandate to lead these areas that they have been practicing behind the scenes. Unlike what was in the previous cabinet of the previous regime, where, you know, a politician would be placed in a ministry, then the technocrats now are placed just behind him, so they assist him in the working. Now president has decided, let me put these technocrats in front of the ministry. What do you make of the new faces?
You reminded me of the son of Lenku. During Westgate, he really had a tough time because he had just come from hotelier job to the Ministry of Interior. Hey, and it was the bed was hot. It was hot for him, and I think despite that, you find that after being CS, I think he was it fired or he resigned. He's now the governor, the second term governor of Kajiado. So you find, in a way, these appointments are trying to raise people, the unknown people, to known giants of the community, of the country, and all that. If you look at someone like Nahumicha, I was just, the way Felix has said, I went through her profile, and I was shocked. In fact, I was disappointed that I didn't know her. I didn't know her. I was disappointed because this is a woman who has wealth of experience, in fact, in health sector, leave alone these other sectors. She's worked with many insurance companies. She's worked with the Nairobi Hospital. She's worked with very many health sectors. She's been in global supply chain. So she's coming in with some wealth that I don't think there would have been any other better option for that position. So I think for President Ruto, he's trying to bring in these new names so that maybe even after 3 years they can now go for higher, something higher than being a CS. Then he brings in other new faces. If you look at most of the people who've been surrounding Dr. Ruto, it's like this. He doesn't introduce many new faces at once. He introduces a few. Once the person is able to fly, he lets them go. Then he brings another person. If you look at someone like Ndindi Nyoro, this is a person who nobody will ever thought that he will be globetrotting with Dr. Ruto, but he's a young man. And he's always with the president, and that means that Ndindi Nyoro is becoming a leader in Mount Kenya, and don't be surprised in 2022 to see Ndindi Nyoro, in 2032 to see him marshalling it out with the experienced politicians at the presidential level. So I think bringing in these new names, Malonza, you look at Malonza, yes, she's a former deputy governor who at some point started decampaigning her governor because she was chosen as Musila's deputy when she was still Malombe's deputy. And it was some sort of confusion. Okay. But it is good, just to wind up, it is good for her because if you look at tourism, Kitui, she's coming from Kitui South. Most of the time in Kitui, the cabinet secretaries and ministers have been coming from Kitui North and Kitui Central. But this time round, Ruto goes for her, and she's coming from Kitui South, a constituency that is bordering Savo, and Savo is among is it a parastatal that have been playing a big role in tourism in the country. So I think she has an upper hand. And also when I was reading about it, I was told that there have been issues about the gate, the entry gate from Kitui's side. So I think she's also going to make sure that the issues around Savo are sorted out. And yeah, she's a woman, and who wouldn't want to see such faces in tourism?
Definitely, and I
Yes.
think that is where we're going to wind up this particular discussion. I don't know if I'll give you just 2 seconds to give your final word as you also conclude. Just 2 seconds, because anytime from now we'll be getting off air.
Oh, well, just to wind up, my appeal to the president, because it's somebody who has been doing pupillage to young politicians and young leaders, bringing them into the national face. I think while appointing the cabinet assistant secretaries after the public participation as the judiciary wants, I would request an appeal to the president that he considers at least 3 young men and women below 30 years who can serve as cabinet assistant secretaries. We appreciate the need of experience, but we cannot do away with also knowledge. We have people who are learned and are up to tracks. So that is my appeal as I conclude.
All right, thank you so much, Felix Osonga, political analyst, for making time this morning for us to have this particular discussion, hoping that the president has heard what we've talked about. And Kevin Otsea, political analyst as well. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time this morning. We can have this other discussion some other time. And that is where we wind up this particular, discussion in regards to our political discussion, of course, talking about, the cabinet of President William Ruto, what he meant when he picked 22 names to be in his cabinet and lead in his agenda in delivering for the Kenyan people. We'll be winding up this particular segment, but Dennis Munene is in Nairobi West, where we will be having another different discussion of the economic contribution of the Nairobi West in the county's economy, as we talk about the implementation of 24-hour economy. What do the people think about that discussion? Coming to you shortly, but right now, we'll be crossing over live to Nairobi West, where Dennis Munene will be leading this particular conversation, as we also seek to answer questions of what is happening in Nairobi County in regards to reviving the economy into being 24 hours, and Nairobi West being one of the pioneers. And that is the discussion that will be coming up to you shortly. Dennis Munene was there earlier on and compiled opinions from different retailers in that particular place, and this is some of the statements that I had to make as we even cross over live to Nairobi West.
Anga maspana hapa Nairobi West. Hapa Nairobi West sasa hii ni mwaka yangu ya 10, lakini nilikuwa nauza huko Madaraka, lakini tangu niweke hapa, this is my 10th year, na biashara na inaendelea tu kiasi, si mbaya. Saa ingine inakuja hivi, saa ingine unapata hata ukikosa, lakini ya kukula huwezi kosa. Sio mbaya, lakini saa hii imekuwa ngumu. Kwa hiyo saa hiyo changamoto ndio tuko nayo, ndio mafuta yako juu sana. Bana, kwa hiyo napambana tu hivyo. Sasa niko na miaka 3 hapa Nairobi West tukifanyia kazi hapa stage ngumu hii.
Biashara ni kung'ang'ana tu, ni kupanda mlima mabonde, ni mlima na mabonde tu. Juu kila kitu imepanda. Sasa hii nauza hii samaki pia imepanda huko kwa wavuvi imepanda, kila kitu imepanda. Sasa hii nikiuza hii samaki hii 200. Bure hii 200, unga ni pesa ngapi? Ama mtu anunue samaki ya 200, ana unga, ana nyanya, ana saa zingine ni mtu wa chini kama mimi. Sina uwezo ya gas, natumia mafuta ya stove. Hii mafuta ya stove mafuta piko bei nyingine. Sasa nashindwa nitakula hii samaki yangu na watoto nikunywe maji ama nitasurvive namna gani? Mafuta kuikaranga pia ndio imepanda juu. Sasa sisi tunaomba tu mtusaidie, mtuwezeshe kuweka maisha ikuwe level ili tunaweza kutoboa.
Jina yangu ni Florence na Malwa Wafula. Kenye kilifanya nichague biashara Nairobi West. Hii kitu ya kwanza ni mkaaji wa Nairobi West. Tuseme ikiwa msichana mpaka saa hii. Na ndio ilifanya nikafanya biashara Nairobi West. Biashara kutoka hapo mbeleni ilikuwa biashara mbaya. Nimekuja ikakuwa tu biashara iko chini mpaka wakati wa sasa. Sana vile imekuwa na vitu bei kali ndio imekuwa chini kabisa.
Here, I've been here at Nairobi West for the last 6 months, and the reason why I came to Nairobi West is because I saw Nairobi was so congested, the CBD, and I thought this is a nice location because it's not so congested in terms of parking, in terms of even, of rent. Nairobi, it's expensive. Shops in Nairobi are expensive compared to Nairobi West. So that's why I decided to come here, and so far so good. I can't complain. I always get business. Some days are high, some days are low.
Mimi kwa majina naitwa Ruth Njoka, nafanya biashara ya kuuza manguo za wanawake, za wanaume, za kuogelea na nguo za kawaida. Nilichagua hii Nairobi West juu nimekaa almost 9 years. Sababu ni place poa na iko na wateja.
Juu sahi siwezi sema ati biashara iko fiti kulingana na venye kuko. Juu mimi nimeanzia kuzia huku Nairobi West 2014 tulikuwa huku. So biashara yetu sometimes inatupeleka vizuri, nyingine tunaenda hasara, lakini kwa biashara kuna kuanga profit na hasara. Unaona?
Zamani inakuwa wakati tumeanza ikikuwa ni mzuri kidogo, tulikuwa angalau tunafanya kidogo. Lakini sasa hali imekuwa mbaya. Hata upate customer sasa ni ngumu. Kwa maana mafuta hata yamepanda. Mpaka hata ukimwambia mtu ni so mbili sehemu ya so mbili, mtu anakuambia hiyo ni bei ni mbaya. Kwa maana hata watu wanaingia sasa mambo ya matatu labda. Kwa maana sasa kasi iko chini, ni mafuta yamepanda juu.
All right, and that is the statements of business persons at the Nairobi West, where Dennis Munene right now is they're talking about the improvisation of the 24-hour economy. What will be of Nairobi County if at all each and every sub-county goes in a 24-hour economy? That is what the previous regime was pushing for, and seems that is what is being implemented right in the third phase of devolution, as we seek to turn around the country's economy. Dennis Munene will be live at Nairobi West now, trying to evaluate the situation, because in Nairobi West they're already on the blueprint as they seek to go in a 24-hour economy. Business people, they are trying to adjust their way of making business as they seek to build up a 24-hour economy. But how effective is it? Because the Nairobi County is also at the verge of introducing the 24-hour economy that will be functioning 24 hours during the daytime and at the night. And from what has been previous and has been before, it is different businesses and small businesses trying to adjust in the economic situation. But right now, to get more and find out of that, we cross over live to Dennis Munene, who is at Nairobi West, to give us an update and also lead the next segment of this discussion. Dennis Munene, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Chris Sambo, right there live from studio, and I'm here live from Nairobi West. I'm just right here just to make sure I do just follow up and just talk to the citizens of this area. It's about the issue to do with the 24-hour economic model of this place. It's actually a suggestion, and we are actually trying to contemplate things, and we're trying to look at issues and rather see and rather come up with just and see what could happen or what would it be like if this place would be converted into a 24-hour economic model. Now, this particular point now, I just want to give you just an explanation of rather what would it mean for Nairobi West area in Nairobi County, or rather this metropolitan area to be changed or to be confirmed, or rather to be changed to a 24-hour economic model. Well, this means that this place will also increase the number of jobs for the million unemployed youths from this place. It also means that the income that is generated from this place, the income, or rather the revenue that is collected from this area, means that it is going to increase. Or rather, it also means that now the production rate and also the consumption rate of this place seems, and also means that with the 24-hour economic model, it means that this place would also increase the production and also the consumption rate, hence expanding the market of this place. Now, at this particular point now, I really just want to talk to some of the citizens in this place and get to know what is their take, or rather what do they assume, or rather what are the expectations if this place would be turned to an 24-hour economic model place. Rather now, and rather the place will also increase the number of jobs being opened right here, also inviting and also bringing together investors from different places. Now, I just want to give you just a clear, or rather just a brief definition of this place that is Nairobi West in Nairobi area. Nairobi West is a place that is just neighboring to South Sea, Nairobi South Sea. With this metropolitan area, it is a metropolitan area that is characterized by various places, very characterized by different or various businesses. It's also characterized by various opportunities. We have hospitals, we have the famous Nairobi Hospital around this place, and also we have businesses, we have the small-scale businesses, we have the large-scale businesses, including the eateries. We have also the entertainment places, just like the restaurants and also the clubs, and of course, this place serves as a major source of income of this place. It's a metropolitan area in the Nairobi County. Now, with the Vision 2030 of encroaching different cities in the country to become a 24-hour economic model cities, or rather places in the county, now Nairobi West is on the spot. And now I'll be talking to some of the citizens and also get to know what would be their take if this place was converted to a 24-hour system. Jambo. Tuko hewani sasa hivi. Ujambo.
Jambo.
Wanakufahamu kama namna gani?
Mfahamu Samuel.
Naona unafanya kazi ya biashara hapa, pikipiki hapa na pale. Now, hebu niambie maoni yako ni gani kama uchumi wa eneo hili la Nairobi West ungeweza kukonfirmiwa ama ungeweza kuchenjiwa ukiwa wa 24 hours, upate mnaweza fanya kazi usiku na mchana?
Sasa hapa unauliza kama biashara itakuwaje?
Itakuwaje? Unafikiri maeneo ama ile eneo litakuwa namna gani endapo biashara zitaweza kufanywa 24 hours, like mchana na usiku?
Mchana na usiku. Itakuwa sawa tu. Hiyo biashara itakuwa hivyo sawa. Juu sasa sio mbaya vile. Juu saa hii mchana unaweza survive na ukose kabisa. Usiku unaweza angalia tu, usiku unaweza fanikiwa tu kidogo. Kwa hiyo sio mbaya.
Na biashara yenu ya pikipiki ya bodaboda, mnaona kama vile kwamba inaweza ikaathirika mkianza kufanya biashara usiku na mchana?
Inategemea bati. Hapa sisi wakora hatuna pikipiki usiku. Sasa unaona kuna wengine wana make paka asubuhi, kuna wengine wanafanya mchana, kuna wengine wanafanya usiku. Inaonekana hiyo biashara itakuwa sawa. Kuna wengine wana hustle na hawana stage. Sasa wana hustle usiku na hawana shida. Wanasukuma tu mpaka asubuhi. sikii mtu ameuawa, sikii nini. Nategemea, kwa hiyo iko sawa. Watu wana survive tu usiku hapa, wanafanya biashara yao, wanamaliza.
Lakini wasiwasi mkubwa sasa hivi kwamba ni challenge ya usalama.
Challenge ya usalama sasa hivi tunataka ikuwe tu poa, isidi kuwe poa. Sio mbaya.
Mwisho kabisa nataka uniambie, labda ukilinganisha, unafikiri kipato chako cha kile ambacho kama sasa umekuwa ukifanya kazi mchana, unafikiri ukiongeza huo unafanya usiku, labda unafikiri hicho kipato kitakuwa namna gani?
Hiyo kipato itakuwa sawa tu. Usiku ukifanya kabisa, yani ukifanya kitu kabisa, hiyo kipato itakuwa tu sawa. Tutakuwa tuna make, tutakuwa tunafanya tu hivyo, kazi inaenda hiyo.
Right, and your money yake. Well, that's just an opinion from one of the border riders from this place of Nairobi West, actually in Nairobi County. Like I told you earlier on, this is a metropolitan area whereby we expect, or rather we want to confess, or we want to see, we want just to unpack and try to understand what would it be like if this place was converted to a 24-hour economic model, looking at the fact that the commission that was in charge of the 2030 vision said that they are looking forward to make sure that in the next few months that most of the cities in the Nairobi metropolitan area are converted to a 24-hour economic model place, or rather an economic model status, mostly in this Nairobi County. Well, I think we'll just have to play a clip from and just to get to listen about what will be happening, or rather what are the views of various citizens from this place of Nairobi West. A good job right there done by one and only Stephen Kibara. Let's get a listen.
We welcome your feedback on our programming. For questions or comments, kindly get in touch with us via email info@kaktv.org, SMS 0111 220044, or call us on 0794 588 054.
What happens when we are blessed? What happens when the Lord comes to expand? When the Lord comes to increase? Do we find ourselves calling people, telling them, I am blessed? I have a new car. Do you go calling people? Why is it so difficult to talk about your blessings? What shall I render to the Lord for all his goodness to me?
Are you looking to grow your business? Kirk TV offers you a variety of advertising opportunities to suit your budget. Advertise with us today and reach your potential customers countrywide. For more information, email us on sales@kirktv.org or call 011 00 90647.
The application of the law does not select the rich or the poor.
People are supposed to take responsibility for their lives, but society has always looked frowned upon it.
Here we educate you on the laws of the land.
Adoption does not have so many hurdles and so many laws, and it's not difficult.
Matters related to administration of justice.
It's very difficult for you to inherit from an estate of a deceased if you're not a child or a bona fide wife.
Cover crime related topics.
Issues of torture are criminal issues that the government will take very stern action.
And many, many more.
Leave your worries with the lawyer. Let them go through, let them worry about how you will answer your questions. Let them worry about what you will say in court. They will guide you.
Sometimes the law is very difficult, but you have judges now to interpret the law.
Don't miss Know Your Laws Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. only on Kirk TV.
Kaunti ya Meru, eneo la Chogoria, kitovu cha umisheni na upana la mashariki ya Kenya. Tangu mwaka 1922, miaka 100 baadaye, athari za watangulizi kama vile Dr. Clive Ivan na wenzake, matunda ya kazi yao, kumbukumbu tunazivuta. Ujio na makuzi ya elimu, maadamu kumsaidia Mwafrika kupiga teke ujinga.
Since we started diploma in nursing, we've been able to qualify more than 2,500 nurses.
Afya bora kwa wakazi, hospitali na vituo vya afya vinavyosifika kote.
Chogoria Hospital has a main healthcare provider in this region, has been providing general healthcare services and also started specialized care services, so patients are able to access the basic care that they require in the various fields of health.
Kilimo cha kahawa na majani chai, kitega uchumi cha wakazi.
Wakati ule hakukuwa na pesa ya kulipa hospitali, hakukuwa na pesa ya kulipa shule, hakukuwa na pesa ya kulipa kanisani. Wakati kahawa ilikuja, haya mambo yote yalitendeka. Watu walipata pesa ya kulipa shule, wakapata pesa ya kulipa hospitali, na katika kanisa walipata pesa ya kulipa.
Yote haya yakiwa chini ya mwavuli wa kiroho wa kanisa la Kipresbiteri la Afrika Mashariki.
Safari imekuwa pada shuka. Disruption moja ilikuja wakati KCA ilileta mambo ya mabadiliko ya mzungu arudi kwao, atoke Kenya. Na hiyo ili affect hata hapa kwa sababu watu wengine wetu karibu thuruthi mbili, 2/3 walitoka kanisa la Presbyterian.
Tunatarajia nguvu mpya ya kuendeleza kazi kwa kuwa baada ya kuadhimisha miaka 100 ni kama tunaanza upya kazi ya umisheni upya. Kwa hivyo tuna matarajio makubwa ya kwamba mioyo ya watu itaweza kuelekezwa upya kwa ajili ya kutumika wakiwa na nguvu mpya.
Sherehe za maadhimisho haya zitakujia moja kwa moja hapa Kirk TV.
Karibuni nyote tuadhimishe pamoja.
Alright, that's good, but you're just getting me live from Nairobi West in Nairobi metropolitan area, just like we had seen. What are the views of what are the views of citizens from this area? We've heard them saying, well, those of you who are having some mixed point of view about this place being converted to a 24-hour economic model, and also it's a thing that we are trying to really push up. We are really trying to look into it. And now I just want to talk to some other other traders or rather some other business people from this place and get to know what is their take of the 24-hour economic model, because of the 24-hour economic model that the government of Kenya using the commission that had been turned, or rather the commission that was in charge of the 2030 vision, saying that in the nearby, or rather in the near future, that they are going to change many of the cities in the Nairobi metropolitan area to 24-hour economic model. Niaje?
Salama.
Tuko hewani sasa hivi. Unaitwa nani?
Mimi naitwa Dennis.
Hey, kama mimi.
Yeah. Dennis Ochieng.
Alright. Naona biashara unaendelea kupiga hapa na pale kidogo kidogo. Sasa sitaki kuchukua muda wako mwingi sana, lakini nataka tu kujua maoni yako kuhusiana na unaona ni vipi kama ile eneo la Nairobi West inaweza litakonvertiwa kuwa uchumi wake unaweza ukarun 24 hours, mfanye kazi mchana na usiku.
Inawezekana. Manake ikilingana na security yenye iko huku na population ya watu wenye wanazunguka huku siku, kumaanisha inawezekana juu kuna watu wanaamka kwenda kazi asubuhi, sio wakati wa usiku wakirejea wanaweza kuwa wakinunua vitu ili wapange safara yao ya kesho asubuhi.
Wewe kama hii biashara yako labda unafikiri kama kuna vile inaweza ikaathirika, inawezekana ikafanyika mpaka usiku?
Inaweza fanya mpaka usiku. Ingawaje biashara ya chakula, kuuza chakula yenye jaiva, sasa niseme inaweza fanyika hadi kitu saa 6 usiku. Na hiyo muda bado ni mwafaka, kaa watu wamejumishwa katika hiyo muda, wajue mali iko hapa katika hiyo wakati, itakuwa inafaa.
Sasa hivi ukilinganisha kipato chako, hili ni swali la mwisho, ukilinganisha kipato chako kile ambacho unapata kwa mchana moja hivi ukifanya kazi masaa 12, labda unafikiri ukiongeza ufanye tena na jioni kitakuwa namna gani? Kitaongezeka ama labda
lazima iongezeke? Inaweza ongezeka kwa 2%.
Alright.
Yeah, niseme hivyo. Almost 2% inaweza ongezeka. Yeah.
Kwa maoni tu yako ya mwisho labda kwa serikali, wapo tu ama endapo itaweza kuhakikisha kwamba mfumo wa kufanya kazi masaa 24 kama utatimiza, labda unafikiri ni maoni gani unaweza ukaambia serikali labda iwekeze nini
kutimiza ili tutimize hiyo biashara? Lazima security light kwanza tuna depend on, surveillance bado pia lazima wakuje, yani wa beef. Then so itakuwa ina employ more youths juu itabidi pia niandike mwenzangu hapa juu kwa hiyo muda pia mimi nifasi na muda wa kupumzika na wa kwenda sokoni. Sasa hiyo muda wa kutokea usiku nitakuwa nimeemploy somebody, unaona, na sasa hiyo inaongezea ajira kwa Kenya. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. That's actually my namesake. Dennis says that his business will be doing well, or rather will be thriving very well right here if now the economic model will just maybe will be put in place in this area. I don't know whether my cameraman will be able to move a little bit, and of course maybe let me try to talk to some of other businessmen right here and see rather what's their view on the 24-hour economic model. Yes, habari yenu? Hey, I don't know whether my camera person will be available to come across. Well, it's just a better tab right here. I'm trying to talk to them. Maybe the cameraman could just come a bit closer, just come in a bit closer right here. Yes, and just talk to them and just know what is their take. Habari yako ma'am? Ni kidogo tu, ni swali tu moja tu ambayo tunataka kujua. Ni swali tu moja tunataka tuongee. Well, it's hit a blunt right there. Unaweza ukazungumza nami labda mara moja tu. Just 1 minute. 1 minute. All right, it is a blunt. Well, rather, let me just cross the road over that place, and as I just get to talk to some other businessmen right here, and of course, just get to know what is their view. Just get to know what the businessmen in this place would rather think about the 24-hour economic model. 24-hour economic model. What would it be like if they are going to initiate the 24-hour economic model in this place of Nairobi West, or rather the 24-hour economic model in this place? Habari yako mama?
Nzuri.
Uko salama?
Niko salama.
Mimi naitwa Dennis na sasa hivi tuko hewani Sijui maoni yako ni gani endapo kama uchumi wa eneo hili utaweza kuwa unaanzishwa unaendeshwa kwa masaa 24?
Inaweza kuwa vizuri kwa sababu hapa watu wana flow, kuna flow ya watu, kuna vitu kama clubs zinaenda kama 24 hours. So I think customers watakuwa kila saa. Yes.
Hai biashara yako labda unafikiri kama huo mfumo wa masaa 24 ukiintroduziwa, unafikiri kwamba utaweza kupiga biashara na hiyo masaa 24?
Inawezekana. Kwa sababu watu unajua watu ni kuzoea. Wakizoea ati watanipata hapa 24 hours. Wataendelea hivyo na itakuwa sawa.
Na familia uone kidogo ama utaangalia usifikirie kama kuna mtu mwingine atakuwa anakusaidia.
Unajua nitaswitch tu na watoto watazoea, tuna vile tutajipanga. Sisi yani vile utajipanga. Si ati utafanya hivyo every day, utapanga biashara yako venye itaenda. You need pia utafaa kuwa na wakati na familia. Kwa sababu pia ni muhimu, kwa sababu ndio unatafutia.
Labda nikuulize tu swali la mwisho, labda ukiwa hapa katika hii biashara yako kuna kile kipato ambacho unapataga kwa siku moja. Labda unafikiri hiyo masaa 20 au masaa mengine 12 yakiongezwa, labda unafikiri kipato chako kitaongezeka zaidi ama bado kitabaki pale pale?
Kuna yule customer ambaye pia yeye huwa anataka kukuja kununua wakati wa mchana. Na anataka kukununulia. Lakini anajua akikuja masaa pengine yeye utoka kazi masaa ya jioni. Naona itaongezeka kwa sababu mteja kama huyo atakuja na atanipata. Kwa hivyo akinipata mapato pia atakuwa juu.
Swali la mwisho kabisa kabla sijamaliza nini kuache uendelee na biashara. Labda kuna zile vitu ambazo serikali inafaa iwekeze ili mfumo wa masaa 24 uanze kufanya kazi. Wewe kama mfanyabiashara wa eneo hili unafikiri ni vitu gani kama hizo serikali inafaa igusie ili mfumo kama huo ufanye kazi bila matatizo yoyote?
Hustlers fund ikuwe ndio pesa ipatikane. Pia kuwe na security.
Kitu ya kwanza security, na pia tuongezewe hiyo Hustlers Fund hiyo. Loan kidogo.
Zero.
All right, thank you so much. That's also another businessman or rather a business trader from this place, just to talk about what has been happening, or rather what's their opinion or what's their take of the 24-hour economic model of this place. Now I'm just trying to listen to my producer and get to know what they really want to tell me about the Nairobi West. Right there, the photos that you can see, the photos from the Nairobi West metropolitan area, just to see maybe this is what is happening in this metropolitan area. You can see various businesses that are they're just going, or rather taking place. Different businesses taking course in this place. But we've also been having claims of maybe citizens from this place and also business people claiming of the taxman of this place. Right, yes, as I was telling you is that we had business people from this place. Various of them are talking of various challenges that they are taking through, various challenges that they are going through in this place of Nairobi West, talking of the taxman who has really been putting a lot of pressure on them about the businesses that they run right here, ranting that the taxman, uses a lot of extra pressure because when it's time, or rather when it's due time to come and demand for maybe the tax to be collected from this place, well, it's a matter that we expect that the national government, or rather the commission that is involved with the 2030 vision, that it's going to look so much deeply into the matter. And also we also expect that the government, after it has put in place the necessary measures just to conclude, or rather just to make sure that the 2030 vision is put in place about the 24-hour economic model, we ensure that we also wait that the government puts in place the necessary measures and also make sure that the measures, of course, take course. We cannot also keep and wait. We can't wait to see the 24-hour economic model running in most of the cities of the Nairobi metropolitan area. I am Dennis Munene, and I was live from Nairobi West metropolitan area from Nairobi County. Back to you in studio.